You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Nicole, thank you so much for joining. Sorry, I'm going to do that again because I just slammed my mic. I'm pretty sure it made a hell of a noise.
Nicole! Bam!
Bam! Whack! Hello, we are Enterprise Splaining, the podcast where we explain Star Trek Enterprise to each other and to you. I'm Maria, and these are my co-hosts, Bill.
Hello!
And Jamie.
Tried to screw me up by putting me first, didn't ya?
I did it intentionally.
I almost said hi because I was expecting to go first. Wow. The hierarchies.
And once again, we are joined by the noisy astronomer, Nicole Gugliucci. Nicole, please remind us who you are and why you are here.
Yo, hi. Yes, I am Nicole, aka Noisy Astronomer. I am an astronomer. And
you are noisy.
And you are noisy.
And I am noisy. And physics professor and educator and all that junk. Star Trek fan for some time, not all time, but since grad school. And yeah, there was some dark matter in this episode. It was definitely not the focus, but
mostly the writing.
The writing was, yeah.
So, today our mission is a second contact. Last week, I told Jamie, Bill, and Nicole what happened in the Star Trek Enterprise episode First Flight. They have now watched the episode and are back with their thoughts. So, make sure you listen to last week's episode before this one, or you will be very confused. But first, just a reminder, we have merch. Check out the link to the ESO Network TeePublic store, which is in the show notes. And you can get Porthos Appreciation Society shirts, which I swear get cuter every time I see them, as well as our regular Enterprise Splaining logo t-shirts. So, last week, we talked about the episode First Flight, where Archer and T'Pol go on a mission to check out a dark matter nebula. And while they're out there, he tells her about his escapades trying to break the warp 2 barrier and how he, Trip, and his now dead friend AG stole a spaceship and took it on a test flight to prove that his daddy was right and did build a good engine. As punishment, they were grounded briefly, and then Archer became the captain of the Enterprise, proving that nepotism and privilege did actually survive into the 22nd century.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you guys think?
I'm just going to go ahead and take the hit right off the top of the hat. When I start seeing directed by LeVar Burton, I'm just automatically tensing my shoulders. I feel
Yeah, I forgot to mention that last time.
Love the man as an actor, love the man as the host of Reading Rainbow, but when I see him on Enterprise as the director, his track record ain't great.
I think he's a decent director. I think he always somehow gets terrible episodes, though.
I don't know. So here's the thing is, in the past, there's been episodes where I've been like, this directing is actually just bad, and then found out it was LeVar Burton and felt bad. But then we have an episode like Cogenitor, which, say what you want about the content, it was the best directed episode I believe that we've seen so far. It was beautiful. There were so many beautiful scenes. I just, because we just released that episode this week, and on Blue Sky on our Enterprise Splaining account, I released a whole bunch of screen caps from that episode of just like beautifully shot scenes. So I know that he can direct well. I don't think this episode was badly directed. I just didn't notice anything like particularly well directed about it.
Are you saying that LeVar Burton is the Maria of directing Star? Like, oh fuck, it's another fucking cave episode.
Yeah.
And before we skip ahead, I just want to point out, I literally, I'm sorry, I cannot remember if you mentioned this, Maria, in your hosting, but AG is played by Keith fucking Carradine.
I didn't.
I love.
I did not mention
lost
that.
my mind. Keith Carradine. Great actor.
I have something.
Please do.
This has nothing to do with anything else, but in the very first scene, we briefly see Hoshi, and her hair was weird. Did you guys see her hair?
Don't remember it.
She had it in like a low pony, but then the sides of it were like
I
rolled
do remember
in,
noticing that.
But then in the middle, she had like one strip of hair just going straight down. It was just weird. I was like, what's going on with her hair? Like, and even
Was it
Eric
like
was
the
like,
ponytails with the that we used to do with the plastic loop?
Mm.
Do you guys know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
the topsy tail.
Thank
yeah,
you,
but
Topsy
it was,
Tail.
yeah, so it was like sort of, but then it had like a weird part in the middle that
Oh, you
didn't,
guys,
that
I got
just
a
went
photo
straight
of
down.
it.
How amazing would it be if Hoshi just showed up one day and had a side pony just coming off?
Even Eric was like, what's up with her hair? It's not that it didn't look bad. It looked nice. It was just very elaborate, and I just had never seen it before.
I briefly noticed that.
I noticed
Totally
that
left
too.
my mind,
Yeah.
All right, let me
but it
take a
didn't
look.
stick. It was
Yeah,
like,
it
oh,
was
that's some
just-
weird ass Star Trek hair.
Yeah, it was just
Oh.
weird because I've never seen it on
Because she's
Hoshi
like got it
before.
pulled back, but then she has a piece that goes over the part that's pulled back. It's real
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
That is weird. Yep.
Here's one thing, and this is unimportant for everybody else. I had a Mandela effect moment where they pan past the shuttle pods, and I was like, the fuck did they do the shuttle pods? They don't have dome visors in the front of them. And I went back into the screenshots. They completely do. For some reason, I had it in my head. They had flat screens, and I was like, what the fuck is up with this? So that's just my insanity there. Yes. The shuttle pods do, in fact, have bubble domes in front of them for some reason.
I also had one thing that from last week that I went and double checked because I was super snarky about Archer saying that he and AG and Gardner and Duvall were the only people who were in the program, and I was like, let's take a wild guess as to what their race and sex is. And
Yep.
Bill was like, well, one of those is female. No. I double checked.
I completely
Both-
remember
both
Gardner
men.
being female. Wrong.
Yeah,
Yep.
both men. Gardner, we actually do see somewhere in the future. We'll
Right.
see him, or in some episode. Duval is only ever referenced in conversation. He was the one that Archer referenced in Silent Enemy when he hears that somebody gets a promotion and he makes a snarky comment about being glad to be 100 light years away.
Damn.
Hey.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
It's very funny.
That's like
I
a
thought.
fun callback.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun callback. The other thing
But
that
still just like all these white men, like it's
So
just
many white
I
men.
just really
Well, the thing, and I'm going to reference this. I'm going to bring this up now just because I'm going to reference it a lot in this episode. This is in the Wikipedia article for this episode because I was like trying to look things up. This episode is in continuity, admittedly heavily influenced by The Right Stuff.
Yep.
yeah.
Which I
I
don't
mean
think
that was
surprises anybody.
obvious.
I think exactly.
Yeah.
Which is a huge problem with this episode. It was like, fine, these are test pilots. If you want to make an episode about the test pilots of Starfleet as they're testing it, that's fine. They don't all need to be white men because they were white men in 1960s
Yes.
America.
Yes.
Yeah, that level of not being able to think
Yeah.
in that way
Right.
is so typical of this
Ah.
of this show. I also looked at the Wikipedia article and discovered two things. Maybe you found these out too. One is my joke about Captain Jeffries. So
Yes.
Captain Jeffries, this is a direct reference to artist and set designer Matt Jeffries, designer
Yeah.
of the original USS Enterprise,
Mhm.
Yeah, we knew
NCC
that
1701,
That was a
who died 2 months after the episode aired.
Oh,
So I thought that
Yes.
was kind of
Chuck told us
interesting.
this. I think it was Chuck.
well.
that
We
told
had
us
talked
this.
about. We remembered that Jeffries was a
Right.
reference.
Yeah, it
to
was a reference. I just
Yeah.
couldn't remember
one of the
who it
designers,
was.
but yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
and then
that the real reference, but this is creating an in-universe Jeffries
Yeah.
for
Right.
the first time.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was really I thought was kind of neat was there were 3 crew members of the real life Navy aircraft carrier USS Enterprise,
Yep.
who
that's
were
cool.
extras on the episode. And
Because
so
they needed a lot of white men.
yeah, and and actually that had happened before. They were also some extras on Desert Crossing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was
Another
kind of
another episode with so many men in it. Remember, like so many men that they're able to play shirts versus skins
Right.
in their
not far
weird
enough, Jamie.
alien lacrosse game.
So many pale white men playing desert dwelling
Yes.
humanoids.
Oh God.
with weird accents. Yes.
So I was looking at the 22nd century timeline on Memory Alpha because I am not worried about spoiling myself for this show,
Sure.
unlike you guys. But by 2113, war, poverty, disease, and hunger had been virtually eliminated on Earth. We were talking about whether or not like money existed, but notice they didn't say racism and sexism were eliminated. So
To be fair, I will
what you gonna
say
do?
one of the extras on this show was a woman. One of
Oh,
the extras
wow.
from the USS Enterprise, from
One
the real,
extra. Okay.
no,
okay.
from the USS
Oh, okay.
Enterprise.
One of my notes was Archer calling himself cocky is the most self-aware thing that he's ever said.
Very, very real. Very real.
Nice.
Should we get into the science stuff? Nicole, tell us about the dark matter stuff.
Yeah, so they talk about a dark matter nebula, which is very small if it's only 10 million kilometers in diameter. That sounds big.
I actually don't really know what a nebula is.
Oh, it's just a cloud of gas.
Oh.
Yeah, it's literally
Okay.
just a cloud of gas, sometimes gas and dust. That
Is it like a
is in high enough
pre-star? Like
concentration.
it could become a star or become a planet or like or just
Yes, some nebula are the sites of new star formation. Particularly when parts of them collapse to be very, very, very dense in astronomical terms, and can start to form stars. So nebula is pretty wide ranging. It could be those big gas clouds that are star forming. It could be bigger, fluffier clouds that are not star forming. It could be a leftover from a massive star exploding as a supernova. It could be a leftover from a star like our sun, slowly poofing away into a planetary nebula. It's kind of a catch-all term for gas clouds.
for just stuff. Like
So
just
it's
there's a bunch of
clouds.
just stuff floating around in this one area. Okay.
It's what NASA releases when they want to have a cool picture that you can buy as a poster. That here's the horseshoe
that or a
nebula.
galaxy.
Here's the
Yeah, that's the thing is like I've seen so many photos of nebulas, but I realized when we were talking about it last week, I was like, I don't think I know what a nebula is. And I was like, I could Google it or I can ask Nicole when she's on.
I mean, isn't that where nebulous comes from? So it's like
I think
just
I think it's
generally
related to
like
nebulous.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Makes sense.
Yep. So like people
Thanks,
who
science.
actually thanks science. People who actually study the interstellar medium have other terminology for the specific different physical types of nebula that they're interested in. But yeah, nebulous kind of feels like a catch-all term.
Yep.
But yeah, this one is 10 million kilometers in diameter. And as the students in my astrophysics class this semester are learning, that's incredibly tiny.
Interesting.
That's like way smaller. That's like, it would be small even compared to the solar system. Assuming I did the conversion correctly, it's like 0.066. It's 6% the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
that is
really
tiny.
small.
I think they threw out what they thought. Assuming I heard it right and converted it right. It's Friday night, you guys.
Sure.
But it's small.
Nicole, if it's choice between your drunken remembrance and the official canon writing of Star Trek Enterprise, I know which side I'm leaning on.
I'm not even drunk, you guys.
Yeah, and she made a big thing
but
about
it's-
that being so big, but maybe that she meant that's a lot of dark matter.
Yeah, I guess we don't know about dark matter.
we talked about- I
nebulas.
think
Maybe
we
those
talked-
are tiny.
My non-scientist idiot brain is that dark matter is literally something that we have a lot of trouble observing and have theorized is like why we can't measure the universe the way we think it should be.
Yeah. So I actually, since this episode came out while I was an undergrad and did not know such things, I went back to the literature. I just picked between like 98 and 2002 to see like what was the
Great.
prevailing idea of dark matter at the time.
You are doing more work than the Star Trek Enterprise
No!
writers were doing.
Honestly, the search engine for the astronomical literature is super easy to use. That's why it was so much easier than trying to look at pop science
Right.
articles. So yay SciX, yay ADS. But two people applauded that. But anyway, dark matter. So yeah, dark matter, like Bill said, it was this concept of like, well, it seems like there's more stuff in the universe than we can see. Why is that? And at the time of this episode, astronomers were pretty much had coalesced around the idea that A, dark matter is real, and B, dark matter is made of something called weakly interacting massive particles. So some kind of tiny particle, we haven't figured out how it works, and we can't detect it except through its gravitational influence. I mean, it wasn't 100% there. There were still a couple papers that talked about a rival hypothesis to the WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles. The machos, they're literally called machos.
Astronomers are fucking hilarious, man.
I love how much you got. Yeah, I love how much
work.
scientists are fucking with us.
But it just also aligns with the, feeling of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
That's a
remember.
good point.
Macho stands for
Gravity,
now.
electromagnetism. Oh, fantastic. What else you got? Weak force and strong force. Okay, hold on a second.
Macho. Oh yeah. So so there were still some, tests looking at whether or not these massive objects, that's stuff like normal stuff, like black holes and dead stars and whatever that we just can't see. But it was becoming clearer that it was probably this weakly interactive massive particle, which is still the prevailing idea today. And there's been some work on what that particle might be. So that was at the time. So I couldn't tell if there was any major discovery around that at the time, but it was definitely the prevailing
And
ideas.
it sounds like maybe it was one of the newer ideas that people were talking about, maybe. At the
and it was
time,
definitely
so, which makes sense.
it was definitely
somebody was
in the science news ecosystem. Yeah.
So, So my big question is, in terms of the ending of this episode where they illuminate it and it looks fucking beautiful because of this explosion. What's going on with that?
That was the moment where I was like, what the fuck? We need Nicole.
We need an ending. We need an ending. Oh, it's look at this.
Nicole, tell us how dark matter turns into an aurora in space.
Well, it's
please.
kind of hard given that
Bombard it with Metreon particles or
Metreon
whatever they are.
particles are made up.
Yeah.
So
my
I have no
reaction.
fucking
Okay,
clue.
my reaction to this is that T'Pol wants to do the actual science of this. Holy shit, this is a major breakthrough. And Archer's like, oh, let's take some photos of this that we can send as picture postcards to Earth in terms of how beautiful it was.
Okay, so I wrote down his quote. He said, "That's why AG and I worked so hard to get out here." But the thing is, he wasn't talking about all of the information and data from their scans that they were getting, that now they're gonna learn all this new cool stuff about dark matter. He was talking about how it was pretty. And I get it. Look, I've always wanted to see an aurora, and I do think it's cool that it's solar wind that's hitting our atmosphere that does blah, 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 science, something, then colorful lights. But the main reason I want to see it is because colorful lights, right? It looks pretty.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm not shitting on him for being wow, that's so beautiful. But the whole just that's why AG and him worked so hard to get out there, when he's really just talking about to see some pretty lights instead of looking at this data and being it would have been cooler if it was T'Pol being wow, this is totally upends what we thought, or this confirms whatever theory. And he's like,
Jamie,
that's why we're out here.
Jamie, I hate to bust your bubble, but none of the test pilots involved in Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo gave much of a shit about the science.
No.
That's what I would say. They wanted
There was
they wanted
one
to go look
Apollo
at cool stuff.
astronaut. There was one Apollo astronaut who was a geologist, and he got picked on constantly for not being a flyboy.
Okay.
But Archer is trying to be
And Archer's one of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the problem. It just really bothers me.
Here's the fucking problem. Okay, so this is, they want to do an episode about the right stuff. They want to do an episode about test pilots. Accepted. Here's the problem is that AG tells Archer the reason why he didn't get accepted is they don't want a good pilot. They want a good captain. What they're fucking doing has nothing to do with captaincy. He is in a ship by himself piloting this. It's the whole thing about Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager was the quote-unquote, in terms of the right stuff, the best test pilot. But he did not get picked to go into space.
Yeah, it's like saying I was chosen to be captain of this aircraft carrier because I'm really good at driving boats.
Yes.
It makes no sense. I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, Picard had Wesley was the one piloting the Enterprise when he was like 16 years old. That doesn't mean he was ready to be captain
No.
of the Enterprise.
Well, and
Complete
to your
nonsense.
point, Bill, what AG was telling him was why he didn't get picked for that specific mission to try to break the barrier, which had nothing to do with being a captain.
And that would have been great if he would have explained to him, you're the better
Yes.
captain. I'm the better
Right.
pilot, but you're the better captain.
Right.
That's a good point.
Which,
Yes.
yeah.
That would have
but-
made much more sense.
Yeah.
It would have made more
But
sense.
he's not a good captain, so why would he say that?
Well, in terms of this show, thinking about
This show thinks he is.
Yeah,
though.
this show believes he
this
is.
gets into the whole fucking thing about the test ships they're going into. These are test ships. Why do they have 2 seats if only one guy is going to pilot the ship? Question number 1. Question number 2, when they steal the ship, why are both of them going? Question number 2, when AG tells Archer you should pilot this, why the fuck do they have to switch seats? Because in airplanes, the whole point is that the pilot and co-pilot have the same controls.
You make a good point, Bill.
Oh
Yeah,
my
honestly,
God.
actually, like the first flight should have had 2 people too. Like I kind of just feel like they clearly needed 2 people because they needed one person to like fly and then
To
one person
flip the
doing the
little dials
mixing.
and do the intermix nonsense.
Yeah, the intermix. Which, okay, speaking of which, it really annoyed me that AG was so like, there was no pilot error, no pilot error, no pilot error. When like, it was the intermix thing, which apparently needed somebody to, like, it needed to keep
Right.
being like
Adjusted.
which means it kind of was not like pilot, but it was like the pilot.
The
There was a way
structure.
where if you had a different pilot or if somebody was doing something differently that it wouldn't have. And it just, but the whole just, I just like hated the ego thing of him being not pilot error. And then it turned out
Well,
it kind of was.
Well, I mean, I think that was the point, though. I mean, I think that was exactly what Archer was trying to say, was it was pilot error. And it was at least partially because he didn't listen when he was, and back off when he was going to.
the whole
So,
fucking point was to break the warp 2 barrier. They broke the warp 2 barrier.
yeah, I was confused about that,
Yeah,
too.
me too. Because I was like, it seems like they did it.
They did it.
Yeah.
It's fine. And then they were like, no, I can go faster. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they go to 2.5 at the very end. And they're like,
This-
that's
They were
2.5. Look
talking
how it was
about,
than
and they
we
were
are."
talking about when they stole it. They were talking about needing to break warp 3, so that with that same ship.
The episode makes more sense if they go to warp 1.98 and then they reach the
Right.
problems. Like, because they've said that
Yeah.
It makes no sense. The numbers don't add up.
the other thing that drove me crazy in terms of the pilot, and I get, okay, here's where this breaks down because this is about the right stuff. The point they make in the right stuff is the scientist, the guy who's designing the possibly Nazi scientist who's been brought over from Project Paperclip, points out that the pilot doesn't have a lot to do on the spaceship. The pilot is just sort of there as a PR move. When Archer is piloting the ship, he has the fucking little joystick that we see. When
It's not like they're trying to like go around
Okay,
things. They're
okay,
just like
okay.
going in a straight line.
He's got one arm on it.
when Mayweather has the joystick, it's because they're trying to fly through a minefield. That makes sense. If you are flying at beyond light speed through open space, you don't need the joystick. You need to do what Data and Sulu does, which is you type in where you are going
Uh,
and you go there. There's no.
You gotta check the intermix.
Gotta check the intermix,
You
man.
check-
Always check the intermix.
That should have been. How amazing would it have been if Forrest was like, "Why were you fucking with the joystick? Just check the intermix."
Check the intermix. That's what we need you to do.
Well, this wasn't a Mercury style craft where the pilots did jack shit.
Right.
I mean, there was a 2-seat, so we could at least bring it up to Gemini, and Apollo at least had a little fucking
That was-
joystick
oh,
for
no.
landing on the moon.
No, that was the problem with the intermix, was that the ship was unbalanced because there were not two pilots sitting. Admiral Jeffries comes in. There were 2 seats. Where's the other?
Oh, point.
Dumb shits.
But,
Look, these pilots. All right, this bothered me. AG says, "See you in a few light years."
That's not how that works.
Which, okay, could generously be, okay, he meant I'll see you when I'm a few light years away in distance, but it really sounded like he was using it as time.
I think it was supposed to be a pun.
Well, it sucks.
That was annoying.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good pun.
If you work for a space program, you should know better.
Who picked him up after the ship exploded? Presumably the Vulcans were out there hanging around with their, Warp 5 starships.
Yeah, I bet it was the Vulcans. I felt like the lesson of this episode was you have to take risks.
Do crimes.
Like you don't get ahead unless you take risks. And the whole thing was about that. But it
Be straight, do crime.
Yeah, thank you. God damn it, you beat me to it again.
Be extremely straight and do crimes.
I'm so angry with you and laughing my ass off. Oh.
okay, but like Archer's whole thing was like AG was the one who knew that they had to take risks, and so he's the one that talked Archer into doing the crime so that they could prove that the warp engine, so that the whole program didn't get shut down. But it's AG's taking risk. It's the reason the whole thing got shut down in the first place.
Yeah.
Like if he had just
Yep.
stopped when Archer was like, "Hey, something's not right. You need to stop." They would have stopped. They would have gotten all their data, checked, and been like, "Oh, it seems like there was a problem with the intermix. Let's try again and check on the intermix." And then they would have done it again. It would have been fine.
And-
They wouldn't have blown up.
And Jamie, to your point, better episode if he is following orders and things get fucked up. Like they're getting to Warp 2.
So much better, yeah. And it's still like he tries to stop and can't or
Yeah.
something. And also, was I right? Was there fire? Was that thing on fire when it exploded?
It was an explosion. The ship was not on fire and then exploded.
I don't
It
remember
was-
seeing flames, but it was definitely on fire. Or I mean, it was definitely exploded.
The explosion was fucking fantastic, but yes, the part
Yeah,
of the
it
ship
was a really cool
yeah.
scene, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure part of it was on fire. And I was like, that doesn't seem quite right.
Oh, and we see the return of space turbulence, even though they're flying through, but
Yeah.
they definitely get the jittery stuff going on.
Watch
there.
out for that dark matter.
Yeah.
But then the whole you have to take risk lesson then got brought back up when he's on the shuttle with T'Pol,
Here's
and they already have the one close call, and then T'Pol's like, "We should turn around because if that happens again, we could lose life support." She's basically like, "We might all die," and Archer's like, basically,
I'm okay
there's
with that.
no risk without reward, or there's no reward without risk, and it made me so angry. Like we just had Mika McKinnon on recently for the episode on the breach, who said a rock is not worth your life. And I was thinking about that here. I was like,
Yeah.
dark matter is not worth your life. Like, I'm sure they're going to learn something interesting. It's not worth your life. And like Mika talked about
Yes.
high death rates for like spelunkers and
Yeah.
scientists that study volcanoes. Like there are some scientific fields that have higher death rates, but she also talked about why like safety is like of utmost importance in those fields. Like the idea is that you go slow, you're very careful. Safety always comes first. If anything seems wrong, you shut it down, you turn around. And it's even worse when you think about Archer is in charge of an entire starship of other people. When he's with T'Pol and he makes the decision to keep going and risk their life for just so he can see some pretty thing,
Mhm.
some pretty lights in the
Which
sky.
is his only
Right.
goal. It's not
Yeah.
about the science, obviously.
Yeah.
he is not only risking his life, but now he's putting T'Pol's life at risk for some pretty lights.
Yeah, if life
It just
support
really bothered me.
like walk down the path of life support going out and them both dying. Who's gonna be in charge? Trip?
God.
You just see him
Would
flying
watch.
off into the
100
distance and then slowly
100%.
exploding.
100% would watch that show.
AG was annoying. I hated him, and I didn't like that
Oh.
Archer was so just like admiring of him.
Yeah, they didn't sell that very well. I thought it was
They didn't
hilarious.
make him a good person. They just didn't make him a
Yeah.
likable person. And also, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish.
No,
but the only thing I
this
wanted to say about that is that why did they make such a big deal about his drinking?
Drinking.
I have
all the time?
He's the older. He's the Two things. Just a little sidebar. I thought it was hilarious that so many people at Starfleet were wearing lanyards with ID cards. That made me laugh. Like,
Oh
one
my
guy,
God, me too.
One guy comes rushing in. Sir, there's a. So he has to lean into like the little barcode scanner there.
Because he doesn't have the zippy thing, so it's like he has to like lean over because he doesn't
Everybody
have
was
an
wearing
extendable
lanyards.
lanyard.
That fucking killed me. I had a fix for this episode, which was that AG takes the hit. Like, they do this Beckett Mariner level fucked uppery of stealing a ship. That's a Beckett Mariner move.
Do not sully Beckett Mariner by bringing her down to the level of
No,
these
I'm-
jokers.
No,
I
no.
will not stand for
No,
that.
Beckett was a chaos.
How
She
dare you.
fucking tried to steal the Cerritos to try to prove that her mother
Because
was right.
she's amazing.
Because she's insane. And
It
then
would
the
have
end
been
of
cool if she did it.
And then the end of the episode was, no, Starfleet had this entirely planned. We were leading them into a trap. Anyway, better ending for this episode. The reason why AG is not the captain of the Enterprise is he takes the hit.
Yes.
He says,
I wrote this down too.
He says,
Sorry.
This was
He
all
is-
me.
he is I am a captain. He's a commander. I'm the subordinate.
Mhm.
Kick me out of Starfleet. Leave him in. I am. And that's how, and that's why he is the hero, the guiding star of Archer.
Yeah.
So
I
much
wrote
sense.
down that same thing.
Yeah.
I think the story would have worked better. I was saying also that if it was like longer ago and if
Mhm.
Archer was a little younger,
Yeah.
so then it's like Archer's like 22 and he's just out of Starfleet and AG is like the more experienced older veteran.
Right.
And then AG's career kind of gets stopped in its tracks and because he's older. I also think it like when you mentioned, I think it would have worked if AG purposefully was like, I'm going to take the fall for
Right,
this
right.
and say that I ordered you or something. But yeah, anything where it's like AG kind of takes the fall for it because
He saves.
he's like, I kind of led you into this. And then, but the problem is then the lesson would not be you should just take risks.
Right.
The lesson is that you have to be careful. And that is not what this episode wants to do.
No.
Or this show.
Not at all. Not at all.
And it would have been interesting too to see Archer then express guilt that
Mhm.
like his career wasn't hurt,
Right.
even though AG's was, or like something like that. Just anything.
Also, I just thought of this. Did Trip face no consequences?
Oh yeah, Trip faced no consequences.
Because I actually went to check and like when Force at the end is reaming AG and Archer, Trip's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, Trip got the fuck out of there. He like
Nope,
hacked
right
their whole system and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
He fucking hacked
And
their
they caught
entire
him in the
security
act.
system. They caught him in the act, and he waved them off. And that was the last we saw of him.
There was one last note here, which is as we are learning that the quote unquote official history of Starfleet has a lot of glaring omissions, like the theft of Starcraft, the Ferengi, and oh yes, the Borg. So whoever is the official
Yeah.
historian of
Ain't nobody
Starfleet-
writing this shit down is the problem. Big
Nope.
problem.
It bothered me that they mentioned so much about how this is not in the Vulcan records
Yeah.
and blah blah. They mentioned it
And
like
they're
3
standing
times.
right
And
there.
the Vulcans were all over this episode.
They were always there.
So Paul brings up that the official first contact with humans is not in the human record, but it's in the Vulcan record. Like, is it? It's like Let's have a Star Trek show about the first historian of Starfleet and has to reconcile all of this.
I also just the whole idea of Archer just blowing over like, yeah, Admiral Forrest, he kind of got rid of this for us and took it.
Everybody
for
got
me,
promoted.
and I'm just like,
Co-
dude, fuck you. I'm sorry. Like the privilege of these men to just be like fucking up, to be making bad decisions, and then he's not a 20-year-old frat boy. He's a commander. He's a grown man making terrible decisions, committing very serious crimes, and he just gets a slap on the wrist. Then people above him purposefully like hide it from the records so that he can go on and like captain an important ship.
Commodore Forrest got promoted.
Fucking hated this. Makes me so angry.
I have two notes, one of which is Jamie, again, reading the Wikipedia article. This is regular. Oh, this is one of the best episodes. Like, somebody listed this as the 9th best
Are you
episode of
fucking
Enterprise.
kidding me?
Yeah, one of the essential episodes it's listed as.
I have a great line about that I found in the Wikipedia article. The episode received the second lowest number of viewers received by Enterprise at that point, which was blamed on it being aired opposite the series finale of Dawson's Creek.
Yes.
It made me so happy.
Well, I'll tell you, I know what I was doing that night, and I was definitely watching TV, and I was not watching Enterprise.
I found Ruby kind of boring. I was hoping that Ruby, like I think I mentioned this.
She was cute though.
She was very cute. The actress was very cute. I was hoping that I was hoping that the 602 was going to be like a themed or a spacey outfit. She was basically just wearing a Hensley. You know, it's like I was hoping.
Yeah, but it was a cute.
It was a very cute Hensley. I was just hoping.
She looked real cute. I liked her.
I was just hoping for like a space Drindle or like I guess maybe I had Futurama in my head that she had like glowing rings like coming off of her hairstyle, but yeah,
like the Jetsons or something.
Also, they seem to take Ruby very seriously as a they seem to take her
That's because
advice.
they've all fucked her apparently.
Touche.
I mean, we know that Trip and Malcolm have at some point. The way Archer was acting with her baby.
At the end, when they're toasting their successful starship theft, Ruby is toasting with them.
Yeah.
I liked her.
She's the
I
cool
agree.
girl.
She was the cool.
She's the cool girl
She
of the
was
group.
the cool
That is
girl.
the
She can be one of the boys.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Apparently, Eric told me that he looked up the actress and she was the model for the main character on Brave.
Oh, lovely.
And once he said it, I was like, yeah, I can
that checks
see it.
out. Yep.
The problem with this episode, the problem in the episode is not piloting. The problem is engineering. So it should have been a Trip episode, but we can't do that. It's gotta be the pilots. It's gotta be the guys at the controls. It's the Top Gun.
The problem is the pilots making dumbass choices.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been mad at this episode if they did a little bit more fun flashback stuff.
Mhm.
Like, Bill, you had mentioned, like, oh, are they going to have different hairstyles? Because that's a cliche. But it's a cliche for a reason, because,
It
like,
works.
it's fun. Instead, I felt like they looked exactly the same. They acted exactly the same. Like, part of seeing the characters that we know that we've, like, gotten to know as younger is, like, to get a better understanding of how they have grown and changed over time. But I saw this and I was like, they seem exactly the same to me. The only difference is Archer apparently used to slightly hesitate before committing
He followed rules.
and now he doesn't
theoretically.
hesitate
Now he doesn't
before
even
doing
think
said
twice.
crime. Otherwise, like, they were exactly the same. They looked exactly the same. They acted exactly the same. I didn't
timing-
really feel like I got anything new about them.
The timing was about 9 years
Mhm.
prior to when, the episode is set.
That's the underlying, as we've discussed, this is the underlying issue with the show is every problem can be solved by these guys just deciding to be more awesome. The problem is they don't know yet that they should just go with what their gut feelings are.
Yeah, like, I would have loved to see, like, Trip being unsure, like a Trip that's kind of unsure of himself. He's in a lower position. He's not really like in charge. And it would have been fun to see something where he's like not sure about something. And then Archer or somebody tells him like, hey, like, you know
Right.
what you're doing.
Right.
You need to like
Right.
be more confident or something like anything to show us that these characters have grown and changed in these 9 years or
Mm.
whatever. But there's nothing. They're exactly the same. And I'm like, well, if they're exactly the same, then why are we even doing a flashback at all? What is the point of
Because
this?
they wanted to do the right stuff in space.
I mean, basically, yeah. That's basically what this is. This
Well-
is really because Berman and Braga, is that their names? I'm always
Yeah.
like
Berman and Braga.
just B names.
Oh, I've messed that up so many times. Rick Berman and Brendan Braga. Yeah.
They had this vision that they were going to do the right stuff in space. Even though, again, already in space, but somehow also on
Also
Earth.
More space.
And that it was
more
going to
in
be a whole
space.
season. And then they wanted to still do it, and they just stuck this in here, but without any thought to like what it is telling. Like, why does this matter to us at all? We learned nothing about these characters, so what was the point?
What did we think about T'Pol in this episode?
Optimism doesn't alter the laws of physics. Was
I knew you'd love that line.
fantastic.
Maria, I think you made a reference to the fact that she was like very emotionally aware. I forget how you phrased it, but I thought that was like
Yeah.
she is
Emotionally
clearly
competent.
trying to guide
Mhm.
Archer into. She felt like a counselor. She felt like a ship's counselor in this episode to me.
Yeah, I thought, and I mean, even to the very end where she suggests naming the nebula after
Mhm.
him,
Yeah.
all of that is very just
Mhm.
emotionally mature and weird for a Vulcan, right? Like
Yeah.
not what you would
She-
expect.
Yeah,
She's
her-
an end of life caregiver. Archer is about to die.
Oh God.
I mean, her purpose in the episode is somebody for
Him
Archer to tell the
too.
story to,
Of course.
but they did have a lot of like good just to Paul lines. She was really like going for it.
Right.
I forgot to write any of them down, but she had a lot of lines that made me laugh.
Mm.
And I would say like the only parts of this episode I really liked is when it wasn't in the past, when it was in the current, because that is where I'm like, oh, we're like learning something about these two. Like their relationship has changed since this show started.
Hugely.
They're so friendly with each other. They seem to trust each other. They know each other so well. That was where I'm like, oh, I'm learning more about these two characters and their relationship to each other and how it's evolved over time. Nothing in the flashback gave me anything like that.
Yeah, no, none of it. I think what they were trying to say is, look how Archer changed, but
Did not change.
He briefly hesitated before committing a crime, and that doesn't make it mean that like now he's changed. He, for the most part, everything we saw was he was kind of exactly the same.
And
Yeah.
the lesson he learned, Jamie, is don't hesitate before committing a crime.
Exactly.
just do the crime.
Well, I'm sorry I can't give you a proper explanation of the nebula glowy bits at the end because Metreon particles don't exist.
Right.
That's a Star Trek invention. And I can't think of any reason why you would get glowing from dark matter,
Mm.
right? Like that you can detect its gravitational force. There are so I looked into, ways people are looking at trying to
Mhm.
detect dark matter. One of them is in particle colliders, which I think is mentioned in the episode, right? The Vulcans had created
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
studied
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So that checks out. But in terms of finding it in the galaxy, I saw a couple papers from a few years ago, people looking at so dark matter basically is essentially these big halos, these big clouds that are part of and in and around galaxies. You don't get clumps of dark matter smaller than like a dwarf galaxy. So the nebula thing is kind of weird.
So the fact that she was like, we've only seen it in tiny amounts.
I would say that makes sense
Okay.
because it's so again weakly interacting means it's not going to interact with other particles.
Right.
You have to like they're I'm not a particle physicist by any stretch, but slamming things together in super colliders is potentially one way to make a little bit enough to detect. Another way people were talking about it was whether or not it had I don't know if you guys heard of the Pioneer anomaly. this like minor change in the Pioneer spacecraft as it's leaving the solar system. And so
Yeah,
one,
that it keeps going a little bit off from where they expect it to be.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
became
Yeah.
self-aware and decided to come back and kill us in 500 years.
that was Viger.
Oh,
This is
sorry.
Beeger.
Sorry.
This was. It would be
That
Sorry.
was
Peter.
That was Peter. Thank you.
Somebody make that happen. Somebody make that happen. Oh my god. But
Bill, you and I are apparently on exactly the same page tonight.
but because it interacts with gravity, you're more likely to find it in solar systems near stars. And so they were trying to calculate the density of dark matter particles, and it's like super low. But they were trying to just figure out if that was the cause of the Pioneer anomaly, and it turned out probably not. But people are making those calculations of like how much dark matter's because it's around us everywhere. We want to detect it in some method in one of our particle colliders or
Right.
whatever. How much of it is there? But I think you're going to be more likely to find it around a star than in a
Just
little
in deep
nebula.
space.
But
somewhere.
maybe
chilling
that's
by
why it
itself.
was exciting for them.
Right.
And,
True.
Because
look,
maybe they don't usually see it just like hanging out
But
by
the
itself.
dark matter
in
interacting with the
space.
shuttle was no.
Oh yeah, messing
Like,
with the
no.
shuttle.
Oh yeah.
So Paul was like, or it could just be a thing.
right.
Because that makes no
'Cause that
fucking
doesn't-
sense.
Yeah, I get like that. I understand being weird. Like I'll give them the nebula thing, the
Right.
aurora thing, because they had to show something, and they're like,
And then the episode needed to end. It needed a
right.
visual
And here's
flourish.
a thing that nothing interacts with. Like you can't detect it.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's make up a particle that it can
Well, and
interact
be like,
with,
this
and say,
particle
this
can
is what it
interact,
looks
yeah.
like. That's fine.
Make
And
it pretty.
it- from
Yeah,
a storytelling perspective, television is a
Perfect.
visual medium. You
Perfect.
need.
Yeah, agreed.
We need to see something.
Oh yeah.
Saying that, it would be kind of fun. You could see on like a better written show where it would just go up and then he's like Archer's like, I don't see anything, there's nothing there, and then it's like, but look at this and on
Look
the
at all the
computers and all
data.
and then be like, this is what we're gonna learn. You could see a show that is
Well-
more subtle doing something like that, but this show would never do something like that. This show is like, the reason the dark matter was cool was because we turned it into pretty light.
Yeah,
I
can't-
also feel like any Star Trek would do
I
that.
can't
though.
I can't get mad about that because that is
Yeah,
the
me too,
opening
me
of
too.
every other Star Trek, which is here
Yeah,
is
like
the
I said, I'm not
majesty of
mad
the
about it,
universe.
but
Yeah.
I do feel like there is a way to do it without that.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But they chose the cliche way instead. But that's
Okay, dumb
I
episode.
feel like
Alright.
Star Trek Prodigy would have done that.
Hmm.
The pink science one. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't think of her name either. It's been a while, but yes,
I could see that being a storyline with her.
Yeah.
Because of
Mm.
her curiosity, natural curiosity, and affinity for science was such a big part of her character and,
Right.
and plot lines.
right.
They could pull it off.
I have one last note that we have not gotten to,
Okay.
and it is the music in the bar was jazzy elevator music. I want to mention it. The music in the bar, I was like, what's going on with this like bar music? But it was like jazzy elevator music is the only way I can describe it.
Wasn't that bar fight weird?
The bar fight was totally weird.
Like nobody did anything. They just
Yeah.
stood there and watched them destroy the bar.
Nobody did anything until Ruby said, "Hey, stop fighting," and then it was like, "Is Ruby in
Okay.
charge of Starfleet?"
No, that is not true.
Uh,
As soon as they got up and started fighting, Trip grabbed the beer bottles off of the table and picked it up so that when they knocked the table over, the beer bottles didn't fall over.
That's a
Gentlemen.
excellent.
that's the right call. Like that's exactly the call I would make. It's a call that Trip makes as a good Florida man.
I feel like that was definitely like a prop thing. Like those were probably real beer bottles
Yeah.
and they didn't want them to break and injure somebody. So they
Yeah.
were like, you got to take this
Yeah.
before the table flies over. But it was really funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Dumb but not aggravating. So good job, Enterprise.
I mean,
And
I was
boring.
aggravated.
Yeah.
I was bored. I was
no.
bored.
I was aggravated. I was bored and I was aggravated. It makes me hate Archer more. Like we get all these episodes that at the end I'm like, I hate this character more than when we started.
Yeah.
And I just felt the same again.
Yeah.
All right. So now it is time for the Memory Alpha segment, where Jamie tells us about a weird or funny page that she found on Memory Alpha. What you got, Jamie?
So back during the episode Cogenitor, there was a very brief shot in Trip's room of his bookshelf.
Okay.
And it was very weird because these books looked like they were all like very, very old. Like early 20th century or older.
Okay.
Like they were just styled that way. And I was like, why does he have all these old books? And we could see the titles on some of them. And I could not find an actual page on Memory Alpha that had just like the list, but I found by typing in the title of one of the books, there was the photo of the shelf. And when I clicked on the photo of the shelf, in the notes for the photo of the shelf on Memory Alpha, it listed 4 of the books that you could read the titles for.
Okay.
And it had some information about them. So first of all, let me just
The Da
put
Vinci Code.
I just put in the chat just so that you can see the photo. So like what I'm saying, these are like
those
a
are
lot
really
of really
old.
old looking books, right?
Gulliver's
It's weird.
Travels.
So
Ah,
Tutorial history of the American Indian?
Interesting.
the Gorilla Hunters.
Really?
yeah, so I was like, I need to know about every one of these books.
Yeah.
So I looked them up on Memory Alpha, and then I looked up more information about each one. So to start, let's start with Gulliver's Travels, because that is the most well-known. 1726, a satire of basically books like Robinson Crusoe by Jonathan Swift. This one is the one that I felt made the most sense.
Makes sense
to be on the shelf. Even though Trip doesn't really strike me as someone who's like reading classic novels from the 1700s.
Right.
But
We're getting that it's satire.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Fair.
here's my question: is the statuette? Did Trip win a daytime Emmy for
Yes.
his? Did,
Okay, wait, I didn't even notice that.
did he
statue.
win?
Also, why does he have his coffee mug right in the middle of his
That is
bookshelf?
bothering me. Why is that there?
Guys,
His
I
little
didn't even
Yeti
notice
cup
these
there.
Exactly.
Yes.
On top of another book. Why is there a cup on top of a book?
And yeah, the way that these books are organized or set up is very disturbing to me. Like, why are all of them on top of another book?
Oh my god, sorry. I have looked at this photo so much, and I was so focused on the books, I didn't even
Okay,
notice all
okay.
I don't even know what this wooden thing is
What
in the
the
middle.
fuck is that? It looks like a toilet. It's,
Like a tiny toilet.
and then there's another book that is placed lengthwise between that and something else. What?
It makes no sense.
Does Trip
And
know
then
what?
Oh,
a
yeah,
binder.
shit! What is that
Does
for?
Does Trip know what books are?
Have you guys seen there's a trend in decorating where people put their books backwards, spine in,
Yes.
on the
Yes.
bookshelves? And it absolutely infuriates me.
horrible.
I think I
Okay.
might be more angry about this.
This is upsetting. The book that's on the bottom supporting other books is Lafarge, A Pictorial History of the American Indian.
Indian. Okay,
Okay.
let's
So-
talk about these.
Yep. Do we have? Yes. Do we have
So
to?
Gulliver's Travels, do I think it's a little interesting that it picked a book about a
If-
privileged white man
If-
exploring
if-
unknown things? Whatever. Look, like I get it, there are parallels.
If Picard had that on his bookshelf, perfect sense.
Bill, I literally wrote, on the other hand, it's not that strange. I
Right.
would not be questioning it if we saw it on Picard's bookshelf. Like,
Exactly. Yep.
Card is literate.
yeah. I have trouble imagining Trip reading this, but it does feel very Star Trek. And in
Sure.
fact, in the Memory Alpha page for the book, it said that at one point during the formation of the original Star Trek series concept in 1964, Gene Roddenberry and Herb Solow changed the series title to Gulliver's Travels
Oh.
and named the main protagonist Captain Gulliver.
Huh.
Okay.
And then several days later, Roddenberry and Solo realized they'd gone too far and dismissed the
Right,
Gulliver.
right.
Yeah, let's not
idea.
do that anymore.
Yeah.
But like I get it, like I could see them of putting it, even though it doesn't really fit with Trip, I could see them putting it on the shelf as like an
Sure.
homage to
Sure.
that. So that one, fine. There's these other ones. Since we are going way over today, I only am going to talk about one more. Would you guys like
no.
to pick which one?
Oh, the Gorilla Hunters is my pick.
Sure. Sure.
Okay. The Gorilla Hunters. This one is probably the weirdest choice of all of
Mhm.
these. So the Memory Alpha page had very little information. It just says it's a 19th century novel written by R.M. Ballantyne. And then it says that Commander Tucker kept an ancient copy of the book in his quarters. I love the word ancient.
Well, yeah.
There is a whole Wikipedia page for this book. It's a novel from 1861, and Wikipedia says that it is a boys' adventure novel set in darkest Africa.
Think so?
Oh no.
The book's themes are the positive influence of missionary work among the
Right.
natives.
Mm.
Central to the novel is the hunt for gorillas,
Mhm.
an animal that until recently was unknown to the Western world.
In a better series, like, for example, TNG, Picard would reference this as saying, here's what we thought would happen if we interfered with other cultures, that we would bring enlightenment to them, but we always end up destroying and like
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, these
Yeah.
books, like, literally, so, and I say books because apparently this was the second in a series,
Mm.
and they're all basically about having a paternalistic relationship
Yep.
between the Christian missionaries and the
Sure.
receptive
Oh, yeah.
natives.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah, strange choice. Strange choice for them to put on this shelf. Strange choice for a trip to have. Just odd choices all around
Yeah,
here.
This was 100% a set designer's assistant going to the half price books up near the studio and
For sure.
Percent.
looking for the
I
oldest
don't
books
know.
they
I
could
feel
find.
like they're definitely like
Mm.
clueless white explorers.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
actually think
that-
it's that.
It's not that far off. I just
Yeah.
don't think they meant it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was intention there.
Mm.
I think Gulliver's Travels may have been a
Yeah.
purposeful
Yeah.
pick, and I think the others are just random shit that they found at an antique store and bought because it
Mm.
was cheap
And it looked
and
right. Sure.
stuck on the shelf. But it bothers me because it's so lazy. Because
Well, okay, but they did not expect 20 years later for somebody to be looking at a screenshot
Okay,
of
wait,
the
wait, wait.
shelf.
Star Trek.
By then, they knew Star Trek fans would be like this.
100%.
Understand that,
So
but I
Maria, they ended up auctioning off these books to fans.
Oh,
Where like
interesting.
one of them got auctioned off later as like a set piece when the show was over.
set dressing though.
They know that people pay attention.
How amazing would it be if every book on Tripp's bookshelf was the history of Broadway, 1920 to 1960, and he would just
I would have expected it to be like the Hardy Boys.
yeah,
you know?
100%.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like, I love in Star Trek when we get to see someone's room,
Sure.
and a lot of times they don't do anything with it, but I love when they do stuff with it, or when you see little bits of things that tell you more about that person's
Yeah.
personality and who they are. And I look at this bookshelf and I'm like, nothing in here tells me anything about who
Mhm.
Trip is. I don't even believe that Trip is reading these books
Yeah, he's not
or
ready.
has ever seen them before.
Be great if
Yeah,
they were.
that's fair.
It'd be great if they were all cookbooks, like barbecue books.
Anyways, I will go over the other two next week,
Okay.
so we
Awesome.
can move on for now.
Okay. So I believe we also have some read alerts. That is READ alerts, where we talk about some of the messages we've been getting from our listeners.
And we read them.
To you. Well, Jamie will.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
So we got another email from Rachel. Rachel sends so many emails. Thank you so much, Rachel. We love all of
Hey,
them.
Rachel.
Rachel sent us 4 questions. We can save some for next week, but let's go over the first 2 now.
Great.
Okay.
So the first one is, why is memory alpha written in past tense?
Yeah.
It makes sense that Wikipedia is written in past tense, but not memory alpha.
That's a good point.
I think it's just like wiki rules.
It might be a style guide thing.
Right.
It's talking about a show that aired in the past.
That'd be fucking wild. The Vulcans is a race we will meet in 200 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it'd be
but it's
really-
weird when it's talking about like, remember, like breast was like breasts or breast
Were.
was
Were,
or
yeah.
whatever,
So
whatever.
it's-
Like it's weird when it's talking about stuff like that and it'll be in past tense. Like I understand when you're talking
Mhm.
about like the events of the show or whatever,
Yeah.
but like when it's talking about like a body part, it's weird when things are in past tense, and sometimes it is, and
Yeah.
it drives me nuts.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a style. You just got to pick one way and go with it. Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
point.
So the second one was, what would you have done to make Enterprise better? Like, if you
Oof.
could go back in time to 1999, what changes would you make behind the scenes to improve the show?
I think that's the thrust of this whole podcast.
I think it's very simple. We would
yeah.
remove Brennan and Brennan Braga. Ah, I can't say it. Berman and Braga is what we would change.
It's an interesting work of cultural archaeology to go back and and this is something I struggle. I am an old white guy, and I go and watch millennial reboots of shows and things like that, and it was like, we're gonna fix this, and it's like, well, you can't fix it. It is what it is, and you can critique it.
Yeah, my problem with Berman and Braga isn't that, and it's not even that they're just like white dudes. It's that they didn't even like Star Trek
didn't
anymore or
like
want
Star
to do
Trek.
this show.
That's-
They hired people
They didn't get
who
it.
were not interested in
Yeah.
the job and were basically like, we don't want to do it, but since you're offering us money and we don't have any other job offers right now, I guess we'll take it. But they did not care about the show at all.
Yeah.
And it shows in things like these stupid, like lazy bookshelf that nobody cared enough to actually think, what would Trip, this character that we created, have on his bookshelf, right? Like, these are people who just did not care about the show. And I know that there's people on it who did care about it. A lot of these actors cared about it. There's definitely people behind the scenes that cared about it, but the people running the show did not care about it.
I think it just comes down to having showrunners who like Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that they didn't like their jobs, it's that they didn't like Star Trek.
Yeah, they specifically said they were sick of it.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
sick of Star Trek. So if you're sick of Star Trek, then don't make Star Trek. Make
Yeah.
something else.
Tough question.
Yeah.
All right, I'll save she has two other really good questions, but I can save them for next
Great.
week.
All right.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And that's the episode. Thank you for listening. Next episode, Jamie will be telling us about the episode Bounty.
I've already watched it.
And wow, okay.
There's your preview.
Please tell me that Trip stages a mutiny and strands Archer on an island, and then they move off with T'Pol to.
I don't want to give you spoilers, but I will say that this episode has some of the worst stuff that I've ever seen on this
Oh
show.
my god, really? That is so much.
wait
That's
to
a
tell you
big
about it.
fucking tell, Jamie. The worst stuff.
Wow. Given the audio that y'all texted a couple weeks ago, I don't know if that has aired.
That was for Cogenitor.
Oh, that was Cogenitor. Okay.
That just
it
aired.
aired
Fuck
yesterday.
this show! Fuck
Oh,
every
God.
single person!
This podcast is over.
I had that audio. I listened to it like 3 times on loop. I was amazed.
Yeah, Nicole,
Oh,
we
boy.
released that whole episode yesterday. It is worth listening
Oh,
to.
boy.
It
Oh
is
my
very
God.
funny. Yes. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell everyone where they can find you online.
I'm Noisy Astronomer on the internet. I'm mostly doing department share things, and so not on the internet as much, but I'm around.
Special thanks to our producer, K.O. Myers at Particulate Media, to our friend David for our beautiful cover art, and to John Stephen King for being the voice of our computer. If you liked the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tell your friends about it. It really does help, and we really appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook as @EnterpriseSplaining and on Blue Sky as @EnterpriseSplain. You can also email us any comments or questions, such as, were AG and Archer really the only people qualified to captain the Enterprise?
God, can you imagine AG if AG was captain?
Yes,
The show would somehow be even worse.
Oh, I strongly disagree. If Keith Carradine was the lead of this show, maybe better.
I don't know, man. Scott Bakula's a great actor.
Sure.
It's not about the actor, it's about the
Fair enough.
character.
Touche.
Yeah.
Can you imagine basically Archer, but if he were older, gruffer, and cockier, and then drinking the whole time?
Actually, I would watch that show.
Jamie, don't threaten me with a good time. It would certainly make more sense.
Yes, so email us your questions to enterprisesplaining@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you would like to support this podcast, you can find us at Buy Me a Coffee as Enterprise Splaining. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Does anybody have anything important? I have something super unimportant. Like,
Is any of this important?
Let's reset our scale here.
Is this podcast important? No.
None
No.
of this matters. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Hey, Insane Ian, it's Luke Ski. Since you're the announcer, I need you to record a promo saying that my Animation and Stuff podcast has joined the ESO network. Say something about how I'm an animation industry storyboarder, writer, and voice actor, and that in each episode, I'll be discussing animated shows, movies, and other pop culture stuff with a different guest co-host each episode, like our fellow comedy musicians Devo Spice, Tony Goldmark, Carrie Dalby, and you. And each show ends with awesome comedy music tracks. And keep it under 30 seconds, or Kevin Eldridge will give you a Chicken Town beatdown. I need it in the next 27 minutes. Okay, thanks, bye.
Luke Ski's Animation and Stuff podcast.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.